All right, everybody, welcome back into the Auburn Live Modcast. Appreciate everybody for joining us. As always, Jeffrey Lee, Cole Pinkston. I am Justin Hokanson. What's up, fellas? What's new in the world of Auburn football? Anything going on?
A little recruiting news, nothing serious.
Man,
I was trying to think Auburn football, but no, there's not really. Unfortunately, there's not anything new. It's the same old, same old.
yeah. Off the field, some new things. On the field, well, we haven't seen anything new. All right, we got a lot to talk about today. Before we do, quick shout out to our main sponsor, Session Cocktail Downtown Auburn. Go check them out right there on Magnolia Avenue. They have an awesome happy hour, 4 to 7. Go check them out. Great old fashions. If you love old fashions, they do Sunday brunch from like 12 to not brunch, but post brunch. So if you go out for brunch and you're in Auburn, or next time they have a home game, if you stay in town and you want to hang around, they're open from 12 to 5 on Sunday. So it's a good place to go unwind, maybe watch a little NFL, stuff like that. They got 5 TVs and a good sound system and a lot of space and all that good stuff. So go check them out. Of course, we'll be there live Friday, 4 to 5 every Friday. That's been a lot of fun. Every week we have new people that come in there and say, hey, I'm on with Auburn Live, man. Love the site, all that good stuff. And so I really love seeing people pop in and say, hey, met some cool people last week. So 4 to 5, we go to YouTube Live and just kind of kick it for an hour. So make sure you check that out. Appreciate Session and all they do and their sponsorship of the show.
Hey, while you're at Sessions, pull up your Prize Picks app. Go to Prize Picks, man. Get your picks in this week. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks, it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other idiots, including pros and sharks. You can just pick more or less, man. Pick 2 to 6 players on stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players. We're going to get to those in a minute. It is also, where did I see that other one? It's simple to play. That's what I like about it. I can make my picks and submit them within 60 seconds. It's either more or less. So go to prizepicks.com or upload the app. Use the promo code Auburn Live, all one word. See it there on the screen, and you receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. That is Auburn Live. Use the promo code Auburn Live. Get $50 guaranteed once you use $5 in lineups. Fantastic. We didn't do as well as we had hoped, I believe, 2 weeks ago against New Mexico. Arkansas.
Maybe it was New Mexico. I think because we were doing Hank Brown, right?
Yes, I believe you're right. And he got pulled. You're right. So here are some numbers the Prospects has for Auburn players this week against Georgia. Cam Coleman at 34.5 passing yards. Receiving yards. Cam Coleman, so will he get 35 yards receiving against Georgia? That seems like it.
I'm going to go over.
Yeah, I think you would, yeah.
Me too. So we'll take that. Jarquez Hunter, 54.5 rushing yards.
If he doesn't, Auburn loses the game and big time.
Yeah, it's not good if he's not getting to 50. I'll go over.
Cole, more or less?
Yeah, more for sure.
Oh,
okay. How about will he score a touchdown? 0.5 is a half. Will he score a touchdown?
That's a lot harder.
Not if the Sam Jackson package is still a thing.
Go, you.
We're not even 5 minutes in. You're going
too
dim and
soon,
gloomer,
big
man.
dog. Too soon.
Golly.
Some people might like the Sam Jackson package.
Send hate mail to cole.pinkston.
SamJacksonPackage.com. How about KLS, 48.5 yards receiving?
Once again, he better.
Well, I mean, gosh, he's averaging almost twice that. I mean, got to go over there.
I would go more there. I feel good about that.
But this could be one where they key on him. At some point,
that's my
people
problem.
are going to start to key on Keandre, and Georgia's got the players to do it. At some point, they're going to go, okay, this dude's not going off for about 100 yards.
But I tell you what, Georgia gave up some points last week.
They did.
They're Peyton Thorne. Who do you feel more confident about scoring a touchdown, Jarquez Hunter or KLS?
Hunter. I mean, if I'm putting money
Hunter.
on it.
Yeah, Hunter.
I'm not confident either one of them will score.
Yeah.
So we'll bypass those. All right, Peyton Thorne, 14.5 rushing yards.
Over.
I think so too. Cole, 14.5.
Yeah, over. I mean, he's going to get sacked too, so you have to count for that. But
It's more, fellas. You got to say more.
More.
Yes, it's more or less. I feel good about Peyton Thorne rushing for 15 yards.
Listen, I'm stuck on the touchdowns. If Keandre Lambert Smith or Jarquez Hunter do not score a touchdown, who does for Auburn? Like who else?
Yeah.
Luke Deal, baby.
Luke Deal.
Yeah, true.
Luke Deal's averaging a touchdown every 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's due in his next master's degree. So Peyton Thorne 15. We'll go more. He's going to rush for 15 yards or more. Peyton Thorne passing yards 177.5.
More.
Yeah.
We are picking more a lot.
Well, I mean, based on last week against the defense that was supposed to be really good coming in, and I think they are good. 338. That's over half, almost over half of that. 178. So
I might go under on Peyton. Might do it. Less. I might go less on Peyton.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see. And last one, there's some more like Peyton Thorne, 0.5 interceptions. Peyton Thorne rushing, receiving touchdowns is 0.5. Passing touchdowns is 1.5. Rivaldo Fairweather, 25.5 receiving yards.
That one's tough.
Yeah.
The interception one, that's a good bet. Take the more.
I think one would be not reaching. So, current lineup, we've got Cam Coleman, 35 yards receiving or more. Jarquez Hunter, 55 yards rushing or more. KLS, 49 yards receiving or more. Peyton Thorne, 15 yards rushing or more. 177.5, so he'll throw for 178 or more. And let's leave off the interception.
All right.
So there you go. Man, just choosing those. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $20 to win 180.
That's pretty good.
Book it.
All right. You want to talk about this game?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. Some quick game notes to set the stage, as I always like to do. Let's see. Where's the series in this thing? 56, 64, and 8 is what the series is in favor of Georgia. So Auburn is 56, 64, and 8. Georgia's won 18 of the last 23. This is not a rivalry at the moment. It's a historic rivalry, but it is not a hotly contested one. The last time Auburn won, of course, in Athens was 2005. Everybody remembers that game. Brandon Cox to Devin Romashadu. And they really, 2016 was close. Auburn was better that year, but Shaun White was banged up, and Auburn lost 13-7 to a team that was not very good in Georgia. Other than that, everything in Athens, I added it up. Since that 2005 win for Auburn, they averaged losing in Athens by 18 points a game. Of course, Auburn's last win in this rivalry was 2017 when Georgia walked in there and Auburn beat them. And then, of course, Georgia won in Atlanta a few weeks later. So, yeah, it's been pretty lopsided. Auburn still leads the country with 10 players who have caught a touchdown pass this year. Auburn's thrown a touchdown pass in 13 straight games. That's the longest streak since 2018-2019. So they got that going for them. Auburn is still tops in the SEC in yards per completion, 16 over 16 a completion. They're 8th in the country in 7.64 yards per play, 5th nationally in net punting. Keandre Lambert Smith is 6th nationally in yards per reception, 24.41. So they're doing some good things. And of course, one turnover against against Oklahoma is very, very costly. But as I wrote, 1 is better than 5. So they did better there. Interesting enough, Georgia's forced the same amount of turnovers as Auburn, only 4. So their defense is not exactly wreaking havoc at the moment. They've only turned the ball over 4 times, though. So Carson Beck, they're going to protect the football. So their turnover margin zero. Hugh Freeze said they pretty much have to play mistake-free football.
Yes.
To win this, to even have a chance. He didn't say to win. He goes, we got to play mistake-free to have a chance.
To keep it close.
Yeah. So what are your early thoughts on this one, Jeffrey?
Well, you know what? That was actually my early thought. A lot is going to have to happen right for Auburn, and a lot is going to have to happen wrongly for Georgia for this to be a game. Auburn isn't good enough to where if they go in there and do everything they're supposed to do, I don't think it's still going to be enough. I think they're going to have some help from Georgia. They're going to have to create some turnovers. They're going to have to do play a clean game, penalty wise, turnover wise. They can't have mishaps. They can't have mistakes. And we haven't seen Auburn do that yet this year. And I doubt they're going to be able to do that Saturday in Athens. Georgia is beatable. And I'm not talking about Alabama. I mean, you look back at the Kentucky game with Brock Vandegrift at quarterback. Kentucky very well could have beat Georgia. No, that was at home. You're talking about playing in Athens on homecoming.
They're going to be not happy about losing to Alabama. They're going to be fired up.
So I don't know, man. I would be, my expectations right now, I think the best case scenario, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know. I don't see a way Auburn goes into Athens and comes out with a win. I just don't. I think at this point you're trying to keep it close and respectable. And a lot would have to happen for that, just like Hugh Freeze said. I don't have a lot of confidence in this team going to Athens if you can't get my drift.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I actually agree that they are beatable for sure. Their defense, you watch the first half against Alabama. Alabama's good, but fundamentally they didn't look right. They were missing tackles, angles were off. It didn't look like a Georgia defense. Of course, they'll probably play their best game against Auburn. That's how that usually goes. But the best position you can be in today's college football world, in my opinion, is having nothing to lose. And I think Auburn's almost there. They do have something to lose. If you get blown out in this game, it's bad. Okay, that's something that's something that you cannot allow to happen, because then the talk gets bigger. Everybody's talking about freezing his job at this point. I think you might have saved yourself by getting deuced a little bit from that talk, but at the same time, you don't want that. So you don't want to get blown out in this game. That's the number one priority. If obviously you're trying to win it. I think they believe they can win it. They've seen on film where they match up. They have a more explosive offense than I've seen at Auburn in a long time. Right? I truly believe that. I think the numbers reflect it too. So there's a chance you go in here and make this a dogfight in the fourth quarter is what I keep saying. Whether you win or not, but a dogfight in the fourth quarter, I could see that happening, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the defense is strong for Auburn right now.
I don't know about shocked. Shocked may be strong, but I'd be very surprised if Auburn has got a chance to win in the fourth quarter. I could see them early third, coming out of halftime, feeling like they're still in it. I don't know. I don't love it.
What's the line on this game?
Yeah, I was about to ask. I don't know if it's moved or not. It was 23.5 when it opened. If anything, it's probably moved Auburn's way, I would think, if it moved at all. I know we always rely on Zach to toss it up there. I said on Sunday, initially, Auburn would cover. That was my initial thought, is a 23.5. I'm like, I'll take Auburn to cover 24. Ooh, so it inched up a half. I mean, you look back at last year, Auburn, it was 17-17 going into the fourth quarter. Auburn went up 20-17. And then, of course, I think it was 2020, and then Georgia went down and scored that touchdown. Brock Bowers took over. Auburn played well. Auburn only had, Auburn had 307 yards. They didn't light them up, but what they did was they ran the ball. Auburn had 219 yards rushing on Georgia last year, which I remember at the time going and looking it up. There's only a couple of games in the last 5-6 years that they've given up that many rushing yards. I mean, literally just a couple. And I think Auburn's done it like twice. And so trying to do that again in Athens. I mean, that's how Auburn was able to stay close. Is they ran the ball. Peyton Thorne had a long run early in that game. Damari had a run. Jarquez. Yeah, they were able to find enough in the run game to stay ahead of the chains, not get themselves in terrible positions, and hang in there. And of course, defense played well. Jalen Simpson had a phenomenal pick right in that game, and that's the game he went over somebody.
Yeah, it is.
So you forced a couple turnovers in that game, and so you ran the ball. You forced a couple turnovers, and that's what allowed them to stay so close. So, are they going to put up those kind of rushing numbers again in Athens? Are they going to be even on the turnover margin, or can they force a couple? I'm just not sure. For me, I just want to see them build on last week somehow, some way. You want them to win. It's not about moral victories, but with this team, it kind of is. You're a 24-point underdog. You're not supposed to win.
That's about all you can hope for Saturday. It's a moral victory.
Somebody asked me yesterday on the radio, like, what are Auburn fans looking for? And I'm like, to me, with Missouri, which is winnable, Kentucky is winnable, Texas A&M is winnable, of course, Vandy and La Monroe, you still got, I think, 5. I know Kentucky's playing well. I get it; those are going to be hard, but they're winnable.
Absolutely.
So to me, you want to see something Saturday that shows that you're building on the second half of Arkansas and Oklahoma, that you're like, okay, I think they're starting to figure out what they do best and how to cater to that. They don't win, fine, but I think you want to come out going that, offensively, maybe they continue to huddle a little bit and control the pace and feel like they're under control there. And you want to see that. You want to see good decision making. You want to see another game where they have 0 or 1 turnover and go, okay, 2 games in a row. And the one on Peyton, that was just crazy. I thought it was a really good play by Oklahoma. So that's for me. You want to come out and go, I think they're building. What you don't want to see is something that reverts back. You don't want to see, like, you had this great game plan against Oklahoma. It's kind of like last year. Freeze had great game plan against Georgia, great game plan against Alabama, but then you'd have these games where you're like, what are y'all doing? I don't want to see a great game plan against Oklahoma, and then you come out against Georgia, and you're like, why aren't you doing some of the things you just did last week and trying to build on that? That's consistency. Some kind of consistency is all I'm asking for.
Absolutely, Justin. If you think back to last year, that team last year, it was freaking high and freaking low. And it was, you didn't know which one you were going to get. You were taking Georgia into the fourth quarter, and then you're getting, beat handily by New Mexico State. Then here you are coming back, should have beat Alabama. And it's like, what is this team? I think consistency, boom, showing some signs of improvement. You talked about those winnable games in the second half of the season. If you leave Saturday's game thinking, hey, if you still believe those are winnable games after the performance you see Saturday, that's a win.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, he when your back's against the wall, you see what a coach feels comfortable with every time. Never fails. They're not going to do something they're not comfortable with when they think they don't have a chance, or when they think they do have a chance, but they might be outmatched. You saw it in the Cal game when they came out from half, they ran the football. They stopped the RPOs, they stopped the passing. I have it in the play script. They turned it into a run game and tried to claw their way back because that's the way they believe they could do it. It's what they do best. So, heavy run in the Georgia game last year, heavy run in the Alabama game last year. He knew they were outmatched. He had a better game plan because he was more like, okay, this is the way we stay in this game. My back's against the wall. I know what we do best. I'm going to stick with that. Instead of trying to push the envelope and say, well, we got to have our shots. We got to take our shots. He's not going to do it as much. Maybe that's the case this year because he does probably think he's overmatched. I think a lot of the reason some of the offense has been different and not so good this year is because he thinks he's finally matching up with some of these teams. He didn't think that a year ago. When he thinks he matches up with them, he's willing to try things he may not be quite as comfortable with.
I was looking, by the way, last week was the first game under Freeze at Auburn that they've lost. They were 7-0 when leading at halftime. Now they're 7-1. Yeah, that's fair. I thought, the Monday press conference felt different from Freeze. I hate that we're to the point where we're like paying attention so much to what he says every week. But to be fair, he's really transparent. And he says a lot of things. So he sort of opens himself up to us. looking at everything he says. I think it's perfectly fair. I saw some people almost try to say that people shouldn't be picking everything apart he says. I disagree. If he's going to go out there and say, I'm super transparent and I'm going to be honest about all this stuff, then let's take him for his word, at his word. And I think we can dissect and pick apart what he's saying and try to understand it. But I thought some comments about playing better situational football, some acknowledgement there was good. We heard Peyton Thorne talk about how he really liked being in the huddle. He made the comment, there's something about seeing everybody's eyes right there in the huddle. And then being able to control when the huddle breaks. Like Cole and I were talking about it in the second quarter, or something. And we were just like, their pace, and it feels like they are in complete control. And Peyton feels so comfortable right now. I think there's times where you can go fast, but I really hope that they stick with that. I think that was a tremendous help.
His body language was different. Like his whole demeanor changed because he felt like he had more time to think about things. And when you're running multiple different checks on certain plays, it's not that complicated if you've been practicing it, but you do need time to think about what you're going to do. I mean, you even heard him on the interception play. He said, I had the bubble over here. I thought about it, but the clock was already under 10 at that point when we got out there to get to run this play. Man, by the time that they line up to it and I see that they got 3 over 3, and that's not a good play on 3rd and 4, right? And that's the problem I'm having right now with some of these offensive choices is the defense is dictating what you do. They get to dictate what you do.
And
they didn't let you throw the bubble. They knew it was going to be there. They covered it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peyton goes to his next check. The only thing he knows is that receiver's got an option route. Maybe he slants, maybe he breaks out, maybe he hitches. Got to be able to hit it, right? But you also have to wait on it. And you also have a free rusher. And you also have no back end to help, right? So there's a lot of things you have to think about when you're in the huddle. You get to think through that first before you walk out there. Then you look at it and you're like, all right, I got it now. And maybe that has something to do with him throwing for over 300 yards, which, if you remember, Kevin from Wilmer used to call in Jeffrey and say, Peyton Thorne's going to throw for over 300. We went, well, if that's the case, Auburn's going to win.
Right. Sign me up.
You would have thought. I mean, the last 2 games, their post-game win expectancy was 90-something% against Arkansas and like 80% against Oklahoma. Based on what happened, they should have won both those games. I mean, just the vast majority of the time. I like it. And Thorne, I think Peyton Thorne's a good leader. I think there's something about getting him in a huddle and letting him call that play with everybody around. He can maybe make one extra comment to a guy. Hey, remember something. I think that plays into some of his strengths, and we'll see. I would think they're going to do the same. You're on the road. You're against obviously an uber talented defense. I would think
it's going to be loud.
Got to be loud. Got to slow the thing down. I would think it's going to try to look the same in terms of how they try to operate.
If you're an underdog, you go at a snail's pace. Going up tempo as an underdog, unless you've got some big lead, which is not likely, is not a smart choice ever in football, not just for Auburn, in college football.
Yeah.
Not with the clock rules now.
Yeah, you want to watch that clock tick away.
Yep.
And this one for sure.
Let's get out of here, right?
For sure.
Yeah. You got to keep it close enough to where when Georgia does make a mistake, it actually counts. You're not down 35-3 and they throw it pick 6 and now you're up. I mean, now you're down 35-10. You want to keep it as close as possible so that those picks do matter.
Sure.
Yeah, looking back, that game last year, I mean, Georgia put up 420 yards of offense last year. Carson Beck threw for 313. I mean, I'd have to go back. But that fourth quarter, Carson Beck was unbelievable in that fourth quarter. He had basically a half of football in that quarter. He probably had, if I remember right, Brock Bowers had 100 yards receiving in the fourth quarter.
I was about to say, Brock Bowers was the best.
Yeah, and Beck had like $180 in that fourth quarter. I mean, they just exploded. Auburn did a really good job against the run. They only had about 60 yards or so. So that'll be a challenge. Obviously, Bowers being gone has hurt them a little bit. We've talked so much about the offense, and I agree. What do you think about? I thought the defense played really well on Saturday. They gave up a couple big plays. That's still happening in the secondary. I guess that can happen at times, but I thought overall pretty good. DeMarcus Ritt was a huge X factor. He won't be like that every game. I want people to understand DeMarcus that I don't think that was DeMarcus Riddick's arrival game yet. I think he was made like it was a perfect scenario to spy the guy. He's not there yet, so I don't expect to see him 40 snaps a game.
No.
But he probably play less this week because you're not spying Carson Beck the same way. But Keldrick Faulk's been great. Jalen McLeod's been great. Jay Crawford out there gets a little bit more experience. Caleb Harris is getting a little more experience. Like, I think the defense will keep getting better if they could just, they could just limit some of the big plays in the secondary. They're not playing poorly. They're probably playing above average. They're not playing great. I don't think their stats don't say great. Their stats say kind of above average. They're doing a good enough job to have won Auburn a few football games. That's for sure.
Mm. Yeah, the secondary scares me the most about the defense going into this game, just because they're young and they've been prone to giving up big plays. Carson Beck's going to take his shots.
Yeah, he's good, man. I was trying to see where he's at right now. Or Carson Beck, because he took a minute to get going, but then he lit it up in the second half against Alabama. So Carson Beck's throwing for 280 a game. Pretty stout. 10 touchdowns, 3 picks. I mean, he's awesome. You know the fourth leading passer in the SEC is yards per game?
Peyton Thorne.
Get out of town.
260 a game, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. It's just the interceptions have come in bulks, and then obviously one was costly. So they've looked so magnified, and that's too many. 6 and 5 games is too many. But
what's Carson Beck's completion percentage?
63.
That's pretty pedestrian.
Peyton's at 60, and Peyton's adjusted is a percentage on Pro Football Focus is like close to 70. He's had 7 drops this year,
which I think 2 have led to interceptions.
Absolutely, yeah. 2 literally directly led to picks.
That's pretty comparable, isn't it, between the 2?
It is. It actually is. You put them side by side, they look pretty similar. Besides 2 picks.
Peyton's quarterback rating is actually higher.
Take away the 2 Cam Coleman drop picks.
Mm-hmm. And then you're looking at Peyton Thorne at 10 and 4.
10 and 4. It's like I told people
10 and 3.
Yeah, I'm so exhausted with this conversation, but it's not about defending Peyton Thorne. But yes, take away the 2, that's 10 and 4. Take away a Keandre Lambert-Smith wrong route, you're 10 and 3. And then I could even argue a couple more, but let's just say I stop there. He's sitting at 10 and 3, absolutely that weren't on him at all. I mean, just to be completely fair, Allen posted on the board he's played 6 good quarters of football. I think that's fair. He's paired 6. He has. I mean, take away the pick that wasn't his fault against Arkansas, and he's at 5-1, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick in his last 6 quarters.
And the yards,
a lot of yards. And man, that Oklahoma game, if Cam Coleman doesn't bend a route in, that's a huge play.
Golly.
Are there some others little plays in there? Keandre Lambert-Smith, the one that Peyton Thorne got berated on, that was on Keandre Lambert-Smith. He ran the wrong route. And Hugh got mad at Peyton for throwing it, but that was a pass attachment. He was allowed to do it. But yeah, you just hope Peyton can keep building a little bit and they can keep sort of figuring out good ways to put him in good positions. There's flashes. That's why I feel like the whole football program is just there's flashes. I think that's why everybody's so frustrated. Yep. Everybody has got something. There is good and bad for everybody to find right now, and you're trying to figure out what's reality. And maybe that's reality. They are good and bad. Maybe that's literally what they are, is good and bad. And there's people that are hoping they'll just be nothing but good, and there's people that are thinking, oh, they're just going to always be bad. Maybe they're just going to be good and bad every game. I don't know. That's what we go back to consistency. It's just frustrating.
Yes, absolutely. That was the highs and lows that I think Auburn fans are most frustrated with.
Just typically in my time watching football, playing football, being in football, teams that are really, really good at explosive plays and have athletes, but find ways to lose are typically not good at fundamentals. That's just been the way it has been in my lifetime.
Well, Cole, think about what we were just talking about, running wrong routes and catching the football. And
and I don't think it's necessarily wrong. You're right, Justin. It's technically wrong, but it's like an option, right? Everything's got an option attached to it. And when you get into that, you're asking for perfection, and it's a tough ask. And it's why that, in my experience of doing it, we pulled back on that kind of stuff and not done it as much in games, because you're just not going to get perfection. It's called human nature. And they're going to screw up at times. And Keandre Lambert-Smith's not going to necessarily notice that corner's 2 more yards off of him than the last time, and that he needs to break his route back, and you're asking Peyton Thorne and Keandre Lambert-Smith to be on the same page on that play without having communicated it in the play. And it's just a lot. And do you really want to risk that? I wouldn't. That's where without having to get into the whole spiel, that's where I have a disagreement.
Yeah.
I think that's silly at times. I think that's a little bit too much. But hey, if everybody wants to think that it's not, then keep doing it, keep screwing up. Fine. I'll watch it. It doesn't bother me. It gives me a lot to talk about in the film room.
Yeah, and I think we'll see. Right? So Freeze said Monday, I need to work, situational football. And he kind of said, obviously he took some ownership about he said he put Peyton Thorne in a bad situation on that 3rd and 4 that was a pick 6. So we'll see how much of that was, did he say it and did he kind of learn a lesson a little bit and say it in public to just to take the heat off the players, but internally he wouldn't do anything differently? Or does he actually go, you know what, I should not have called that play? I don't know. I think with Freeze, sometimes you're not sure. I guess we'll sort of see. We'll kind of look at some critical downs on Saturday and watch what happens and see what they do. And I just think it's in his nature to call what he thinks is there. And I'm not sure
he's going to.
Yeah.
He's going to do that. But we also have evidence that when he plays a Georgia, he dials it back a little bit, plays the clock, runs the football more, and does things of that nature too. So it's going to be somewhere in between, because he does think he has a better roster on offense now that he can work with. He actually does seem to trust Peyton Thorne. He went back to him. That takes a lot to do. So he is going to take his shots. He's going to do some things. And look, I'm not at all saying they shouldn't take shots. They got to take shots.
Oh,
Cam Coleman, the one-on-one matchup he had, and he went back and caught that ball on the back shoulder. Dude, there's no stopping that if you get it down. And if you do it at the right times, it can be deadly. And now that they've done it, now that they've hit it, it has to be respected more than it was beforehand. So you got to do it. You got to force it a little bit, but you also got to be smart, right?
Yeah. You mentioned Cole and last week, and I was actually asked about it on the radio about what I thought about going on the road, and could they play better on the road? And we'll find out. That's the funny thing about this question is it don't matter. We'll find out Saturday. I mean, it's possible they could have started to feel the pressure at home and the fans and the tension and stuff. And there's something about going on the road and you just got your team. That's all you got. And you're not worrying about the fans. You sort of feel that energy if you make a turnover or something like that. I just think it's such a critical game to just have one more game and build on, because after this, when you have a bye week, if you can stay engaged and feel like you built on something again, even if you lose, if you come away from this going, okay, we've now done this 2 games, we've played good football, and you can go into the bye week with that'd be big. If this is if they revert back and they get blown out, it's gonna be a long 2 weeks. It's gonna be a lot of time where guys are in their head about stuff, and then you got to go back on the road. I don't love that. I just think it's really, really critical that they hang in this thing and feel like mid 3rd quarter, late 3rd quarter, they're like, okay, maybe it's a 10-point, 13-point game. Like, okay, can we just get a score? And I don't know. I just think it's really critical in that regard.
Is it worse to not have a chance in the game, or is it worse to actually be in position to win once again and then lose it in the last second, even though it's Georgia? Is that worse?
I don't think so.
It's a good question, right?
Well, I'm going. Yeah, it's a very good question, and I'm going back to last year. and the perception that was gained from that nationally, even in recruiting. Man, can you imagine saying for 2 straight years Auburn's been this close to beating Georgia?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the present dayers, the people who are all about now, are going, yeah, for 2 straight years we've been this close and we lost.
It's yeah. I mean, there's a bright side and a not so bright side, obviously, but more so for the players' morale. Is it, which one is preferable? I mean, you definitely want to be in position to win the game. I don't think you would take that away.
Yeah, I agree. I think anything other than a blowout this weekend. I think if you cover, and I do think Auburn's going to cover. I've been sitting here thinking and doing my math. 3 + 2 is 5. That's about as math as I guess.
I swear, man. Every single week is just the most. It's just such a pressure cooker. It is.
Yeah, I was looking back. It's been.
I think,
yeah, go ahead.
I think that's a good thing, though. I mean, Hugh Freeze has gotten expectations up, whereas when you go back to, and there's people that say Gus shouldn't have moved on from Gus. There's that argument has come up so much more than I ever would have expected, because there were no expectations with those teams. None.
I don't see how anybody can say that. And I love Gus, but I think even Gus would tell you it was time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, yeah. Gus was great. He did some great things, but he also expectations fell off big time, and that's not Auburn. And you have to have big expectations at Auburn. It's why people want to go play there. Right? So
that's right.
Hugh Freeze has brought that. You got to start winning, obviously, but at least you are in the conversation. And now you're looking at these games differently this season, and you're looking at them like he is. Like, we actually match up with this team. We didn't match up with them for the last 3 years. I'm not saying they match up with Georgia. I think they're overmatched. But with Oklahoma, who's got one of the best defenses, you matched up with them. You matched up with them pretty well. So you're making progress. You don't want to talk about that. I get it. It's happening though. Got to win though. Got to win.
Got to win. The last time Auburn had 2 straight games in this series within one score was 2015 and 16. They lost by 7 in 2015 in Auburn, and then they lost by 6 in 2016. Past that, they have not played Georgia 2 straight times within a score. It's been almost 10 years. So last year, obviously losing by a touchdown. So if they were to come back and somehow ends up a 1-score game, it's been pretty rare lately. And even some of those, even being within 10 is pretty rare. It's been 20+ point beat downs. So
right.
I don't know, it'd be a good game. Auburn-Georgia rivalry, man. I just remember growing up with this thing. It was always just classic games. And of late, it hasn't been. And that's, credit to Georgia for building up a stockpile of talent, especially under Kirby Smart, where it's just been absolute mismatches. I mean, the talent has just not been comparable outside of 2017 when you had Derek Brown, you had some defenders, and you had an NFL quarterback, and things went right that day in Auburn. I mean, they fumbled a punt. You hit a big play to Slayton, like a long touchdown. I mean, it kind of everything went right for Auburn in that game, and you got after them. You shut down their running game, and it was just it kind of snowballed. But other than that,
he was a freshman too, right, in that game.
Yeah, and they had who were their running backs? I don't know. Their running backs were good, and Auburn just absolutely shut them down. They had 2 of them. Was it Chubb?
Sony Michel and
was it Nick Chubb?
Swift, maybe. I think it was Swift, because he heard him. Remember, he heard him later.
Yeah. Or did they have 3? Was it Chubb, Michel, and Swift? Was Swift number 3?
It's possible.
I think Swift was their 3rd back.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Chubb and Sonny Michel, and then Swift was like at that time was like their 3rd down speed back guy, who then turned into a stud. In that game in Auburn held them to like 2 yards a carry. I mean, it was crazy. I don't even know if they got 80 total rushing yards between those two guys. So it was just one of those days. So it'd be nice to see Auburn go in there. I mean, look, Hugh Freeze feels confident. He talked about on Wednesday the teleconference. He was like, I know this defense inside and out. I know what Kirby wants to do. I know what it's the same stuff Saban did. I mean, he was like, I know it inside and out. I know what they want to do and all that good stuff. So that might give you a little bit of confidence in that you've got a coach in Freeze who's absolutely seen this style of defense and what Kirby specifically does over and over and over and over and over again. So you feel like the game plan will be there. It should anyway. There's absolutely no reason there shouldn't be a solid game plan. You just got to execute it. But I would imagine they're going to have a pretty good idea of this is literally exactly what we're going to have to do to stay in this game. I don't think there's going to be any wondering about what they're going to need to do. So we'll see if they can. We'll see if they can do it. It's 2:30 on ABC. Big game to just go in there and continue to. And you're right. You got a little momentum on the recruiting trail that got everybody's spirits back up a little bit. Try to keep it there. Let's try to keep it there for a week. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do predictions before we do that. Cole, would you tell our fine people about Game Time?
I surely will. Game Time, if you're unaware, is a great place to get your tickets. If you're going to Athens this weekend, maybe you're going somewhere else or to a concert, something of that nature, check out Game Time. They got a great deal option, filters out everything for you between how much money you want to spend, where you want to sit in the stadium. They got a panoramic view of each seat. Like Jeffrey said, that intern must have just been working his tail off, taking pictures at every seat. So yeah, you check it all out that way. Kind of virtual tour of the stadium and take the guesswork out of buying tickets and download the Game Time app. You get $20 off with the code ON3, ON and the number 3. That's $20 off. So what time is it? Game time.
It's game time. Hey, and if you're going to the game this weekend, don't forget Whataburger truck's going to be there. Stop by the Whataburger truck. Get you a hot, fresh food 24/7. Whataburger for them. Tell them we sent you.
Whataburger.
I was trying to figure out where that picture was taken.
It's Whataburger.
Whataburger.
Yeah.
It's not Whataburger.
I don't know. Predictions.
There's a big debate about that. It's pretty much.
Is there?
Jessica told me it's Whataburger.
No, the corner had a debate about it after we talked about it.
What was the consensus?
Pretty much 50-50, kind of like everything else.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yep.
All right, I'll start predictions, Justin.
Okay.
Keep it fresh. So Vegas has it 38-14, basically, right? 38-14. That's 24. That's 52. I'm going to take 4 points from Georgia. Give 3 more to Auburn. I think it's going to be 34-17. I think it's going to be close in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be 27-17-ish. Georgia will score a touchdown or something, make it a little bit more of a score, more of a blowout. I don't know if that's a blowout. Less close than it really was. I think Auburn's going to hang in there. I don't think it's ever going to get above 10, 14-point spread or lead for Georgia. Auburn's going to hang in there with them. And then Georgia might score something late to make it seem not as close as it actually was. How about that? 34-17. Give me Auburn in the points and the under. So that means take Georgia in the over.
Okay. I think Auburn's going to shorten the game like they did a year ago. I think they liked the game plan in that game. They're going to try it again, but they do have some more explosiveness on offense to toy around with too. So I do think Auburn's going to score some points. Not a lot, but going to score more than maybe they're being given credit. I think Georgia's going to be – has anybody broken 30 on Auburn yet, points-wise? I don't think so.
Gosh, you say that.
Wow. Yeah.
No, because Cal had 21, Arkansas had 24, Oklahoma had 27, but all of those,
Yeah.
Oklahoma was basically gifted 10 points.
Well, I expect Auburn to gift them some more points this week because that's the trend. So
Yeah.
I think Georgia's the first team that breaks 30, but just barely. I say 31, and I say Auburn scores 21. 31-21 Georgia and keeps it close.
No. I don't know. There's part of me that wants to believe that Auburn will continue to build, and we'll build on what they did against Oklahoma. But I could also first time on the road. I mean, it's first road game of the season. It could go south. I don't know. I could see a 38-14 game from Georgia. I think Auburn covers, but barely. I mean, so I don't know. I guess I would say maybe 34-14. I think Auburn covers. I'm just not sure. When this thing goes into the fourth quarter, I don't think Auburn will realistically be able to win the game. I think it could be somewhat, maybe it's 14. And you're like, okay, it's 14. It's not terrible, but I don't think we're going to get into the fourth quarter and go, Auburn's got a great shot here. Just get a stop and a score. I'm not sure it's going to be that close. I don't know. So I'm kind of leaning 38-14, 34-14. I think 34-14 Georgia. That's probably which way I'd lean. I don't know. But Georgia gave up some plays against Alabama. Now Alabama offense has got a ton of playmakers. It's Jalen Milroe back there, but they're susceptible to some of that. I really don't know. I really don't know. Like the history of this thing says Auburn's going to go in there and get beat by 17, 20 to 24 points. But Auburn has done a little bit this year of big plays. Georgia doesn't look quite like they have. So I don't know. I just feel like it's wishful thinking a little bit if I say 31-21 Georgia. I'm not sure I can do that. So maybe we go. All right, I'll go 34. I'll go 34-20 Georgia. That's my final. 34-20 Georgia.
34-20, 31-21, 34-17. That's about right.
Yeah, I think we'll hit around there.
Only because I don't know if Auburn can get 3 touchdowns on the board. Like, I think they're going to get down there, probably kick a field goal once. Maybe they go for it on fourth down and don't get it once. Like, I do think Auburn will move the ball at times and have some opportunities. I just don't know if they can actually go punch it in the end zone 3 different times, maybe. But, yeah, I like 34-20.
To be fair, we were all around the Oklahoma-Auburn score. We were pretty close.
You missed it by a couple, didn't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, y'all were close too. Even though you picked Auburn, but you were close. That was the total.
Yeah.
That was the scoring range we saw for that game. We were right. We're all in the same kind of range for this game. So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, look, first opportunity to see Auburn against an elite team this year, and you'll gauge some things.
Yes.
And man, it would just go a long way to see a little bit of consistency. I don't know though. Either way, one more game, and then it's crazy that I was thinking about this week. One more game, or the season's halfway done. I mean, it's just like I don't know if that's for everybody, but I couldn't believe looking up. I'm like, after Saturday, the season's halfway over. I mean, just seems like it flies by.
yeah,
I don't know if it's the same for fans or whatever, but we'll see how it goes.
I wish the off season did that, but it doesn't. It's pretty long.
It feels like it takes forever, and this just
Yeah.
flies by. All right. Well, if you're in Auburn and you're not going to the game, or if you want to come down, I tell you what, coming down to Auburn on bye weeks is a good chance. If you're not going to the game and you don't get to go to Auburn that much, come to Auburn on like a bye week, go to session, have a drink, pick somewhere to watch the game, just spend the afternoon, night, go back Sunday. That's kind of fun to do as well. But go by session, have a drink with those fine people on Saturday, watch the game. Of course, we'll be there for the happy hour again. So please tune into that. We've really enjoyed doing that Friday 4 to 5.
Cool. Hey, don't forget Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com or upload the app. It's a lot easier. Use the promo code Auburn Live. You get $50 once you play $5 in lineups. Do it.
And get your tickets on Game Time.
There you go.
Oh,
Get you some Whataburger.
Yeah. Or some water burger.
Some Whataburger. Are you going anywhere Friday, Cole? Anything people should look out for high school wise, or?
Yeah, I'm looking into potentially taking a trip over to Mississippi.
Oh, we're gonna go down there to Hattiesburg.
Not set in stone. Loosedale.
I thought it was at Hattiesburg this weekend.
Oh, is that Hattiesburg? You're right. Yes, I'm looking into that. I haven't made a final decision on that. If not, maybe might be going down the beach. Might go check out Dante Core at Chalkatahatchee.
Should I watch
That one. We'll see.
Should be somewhere.
We're gonna go somewhere, but I would like to go see Deuce in person and see him play.
That'd be great.
Do it. All right, fellas. Let's get out of here. Until next time, go to auburnlive.com and subscribe. Go to the Auburn Live YouTube channel and subscribe. Turn on notifications. Be an Auburn Live YouTube Plus member. Some elite content there. But yeah, go subscribe, man. And we would really appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you guys.